Okay, well, I think that this is working properly, and if you've found me, then why don't you make a note there on the side. Let me know that you're here and watching. As it is, it looks like you have the ability to see me, and I have the ability to talk to you, or I could make a note if I had a keyboard in hand. But if you want to communicate to me, then you'll have to type a note in the chat area, and then I can respond to your notes. For those that may not be aware, there are some YouTube channels to which you might like to subscribe. Some of those that I subscribe to, our conference, Baltimore, Washington Conference, has a YouTube channel. There is a channel on UMC Giving. Rethink Church. Rethink Church is another channel you might like. There's one called United Methodist Videos. Real simple, straightforward. And yeah, it was Hymnsite that I was thinking of, that was kind of a United Methodist music site. So that would be a possibility for you. These would be some good channels to subscribe to if you're interested. Checking the YouTube information about the videos, I'm trying to see what has taken place this morning, if anything. Looks like there have been a number of views of the liturgy video and at least one view of the sermon video. I hope that the clicking in and out of the liturgy video wasn't too distracting or difficult. So, as I said earlier, if you're here, let me know by either putting a comment in that chat section or at least getting a thumbs up on it. That'll let me know that you're present, it looks. So, again, I'm here and available to chat if there's anything you'd like to talk about. I hope everyone's doing well. And whatever's on your mind, go ahead and type it into that chat box on the side. Please be aware that this is a public situation, so if you don't mind putting something about yourself out there, that's great, and just don't put somebody else's business up. Be mindful of their privacy. I'm planning to be here the rest of the morning, and if there's anything on your mind, just go ahead and type it into that box. A thumbs up would be good. Nothing really in particular on my mind here this morning. I've posted the liturgy for the day and the sermon for the day, and so I thought we could do this as a chat, a way of just addressing whatever's on your mind. So no real agenda for this live stream, just being here for you. It looks like there's quite a bit of lag between what I'm sending out and what you are seeing. And I'm not sure there's any way for me to fix that. So just expect a few seconds delay between whatever comment you type into the chat box and my reply to it, because there's definitely a lag here. In order to leave a comment, you will need to be logged into YouTube. That's something that I had forgotten. And that means you need a YouTube account. They're not difficult to set up. But if you have privacy concerns, well, I would suggest YouTube is a Google thing, and Google has whatever information already about you that you would be entering in order to create your account. So to me, creating a YouTube account is not a huge additional compromise to my privacy. So I figured, given the needs presently, and this being one way that I could at least make myself visibly available, that it was well worth it. And like I said, if you want to make a comment, engage in a conversation, you will need that YouTube account yourself. And then that will allow you to type in chat comments and click like if you're inclined to do that. Okay, no comments in the chat box yet, but I am still here, and I hope that you can hear me okay. Please let me know what your experience is. Again, I don't know what's happening on your end unless you let me know. So my intention is just to be available for whatever time frame seems appropriate. This is our regular worship time, Sunday morning. And though I had put in extra time to try to get the videos done so that they would be available, it did seem appropriate to me to be here for you this morning. So it's your time, whatever's on your mind. For history buffs, today is the Ides of March. And you may remember something that happened this day in history. I was just noticing that the Vatican has advised that they may be shut down for Holy Week. So they're anticipating their social distancing protocols will extend even longer. And I had been concerned about that here. It did not seem to me that merely 2 weeks, these last 2 weeks of March, would be enough really to address our national concerns. And so we're trying to figure out ways of addressing it in meaningful ways so that we can continue to be faithful in our work and witness as Christians. And so trying to do this live stream so that I can connect with you, and trying to put up worship materials that will be meaningful for you as we're unable to meet in our regular settings for Sunday morning worship. Those that have health concerns, respiratory weaknesses, whether it be COPD or other concerns, they may be especially vulnerable. And so they're probably going to be even more diligent about isolating themselves. We're going to need to be creative with how to connect with them. And so be active with your phones, connect with one another that way. And we will get through this. Saw a good one yesterday. Though some things may be canceled, like sports or Holy Week services for the Vatican, There are a lot of things that have not been canceled, and let me see if I can find that post. I just thought it was very creative and well done. And so rather than botch it by trying to redo it from memory, I'll just see if I can find that post. I did think this was very good. Prayer for a pandemic. May we who are merely inconvenienced remember those whose lives are at stake. May we who have no risk factors remember those most vulnerable. May we who have the luxury of working from home remember those who must choose between preserving their health or making their rent. May we who have the flexibility to care for our children when their schools close remember those that have no options. May we who cancel our trips, we who must cancel our trips, remember those who have no safe place to go. May we who are losing our margin money in the tumult of the economic market remember those who have no margin at all. May we who settle in for a quarantine at home remember those who have no home. As fear grips our country, let us choose love during this time when we cannot physically wrap our arms around each other. Let us find other ways to be the loving embrace of God to our neighbor. Amen. Here's the one I was looking for. Even though many things have been canceled, love has not been canceled. Prayer has not been canceled. Conversations have not been canceled. Kindness has not been canceled. Reading has not been canceled. Songs have not been canceled. Worship as a way of life has not been canceled. Hope has not been canceled. Embrace all the good. Good advice. So coming back to see if anyone has joined. Still looks like it's just me here. So I will continue to pop back and forth. And if I don't answer your note immediately, please stay on hand, and I will very shortly. Some of you know that I like Joshua Becker and his idea of minimalism, that he is a very active proponent of. There are a variety of other places that you can find comments along those lines. Gandhi said, "Earth provides enough to satisfy every man's needs, but not enough for every man's greed." Reply, you can see me and hear me, but I can't see or hear you. There is a medium that can work in that way for us if we chose to go that way, but it would then limit us as to the number of participants. That medium is called Zoom. I have been part of a Zoom conference with some clergy from around the country, and it worked very well. We were able to see one another, those who had cameras anyway. I did not have mine at that time, and so I was just on by microphone. And still, it was a very effective meeting. So something for us to consider. As I said, I'm concerned that our activities to try to work around the virus concerns, the pandemic concerns, how we're going to continue our life together as a community of faith. I think that those concerns are going to extend longer than just through the end of this month. It's just a gut level feeling, and so I want to be prepared for that. So I'm thinking, what else do we need to do? And that includes, of course, improving how we're doing this existing medium, as well as looking for others. So nothing really specific on my mind today. It's time I'm making available to you to engage with you and with whatever is on your mind. Father Richard Hendrick has written something that just after our first glance, it looks pretty good. So I think maybe I'll share this while I'm waiting for other things to talk about. This is posted yesterday on a Facebook page called Midwives of the Soul, and it's entitled Lockdown. Yes, there's fear. Yes, there's isolation. Yes, there's panic buying. Yes, there's sickness. Yes, there's even death. But they say that in Wuhan, after so many years of noise, you can hear the birds again. They say that after just a few weeks of quiet, the sky is no longer thick with fumes, but blue and gray and clear. They say that in the streets of Assisi, people are singing to each other across the empty squares, keeping their windows open so that those who are alone may hear the sounds of family around them. They say that a hotel in the west of Ireland is offering free meals and delivery to the homebound. Today, a young woman I know is busy spreading flyers with her number through the neighborhood so that the elders may have someone to call on. Today, churches, synagogues, mosques, and temples are preparing to welcome and shelter the homeless, the sick, the weary. All over the world, people are slowing down and reflecting. All over the world, people are looking at their neighbors in a new way. All over the world, people are waking up to a new reality, to how big we really are, to how little control we really have, to what really matters, to love. So we pray and we remember that, yes, there is fear, but there does not have to be hate. Yes, there is isolation, but there does not have to be loneliness. Yes, there's panic buying, but there does not have to be meanness. Yes, there's sickness, but there does not have to be disease of the soul. Yes, there's even death, but there can always be a rebirth of love. Wake to the choices you make as to how to live now. Today, breathe. Listen behind the factory noises of your panic. The birds are singing again. The sky is clearing. Spring is coming. And we are always encompassed by love. Open the windows of your soul, and though you may not be able to touch across the empty square, sing. Very good. Very good. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is good too. You know how everyone is freaking out about grocery stores, empty shelves, the lines, the lack of toilet paper? It's because everyone is rushing to the stores on the same day. That's what we're telling you about the hospitals. If everyone gets sick at the same time, That's why we're trying to flatten the curve. And it's why we're using some of these restrictions on how we gather, how we connect. We need to pay attention. We might not be highly vulnerable. We might think that we'd survive whatever might happen, but we need to love our neighbor. It's that simple. Here's another one of those what's not been canceled. Sports may have been canceled. Getting together for worship may have been canceled. But getting outdoors, not canceled. Music, not canceled. Family, not canceled. Reading, not canceled. Singing, not canceled. Laughing, not canceled. Hope, not canceled. Let's embrace what we have. Very good. Our bishop has brought a prayer for us today. The prayer is this. It's a letter and a prayer. So here's her letter. As you gather in unique ways this morning to respect the state of emergency in our nation, Washington, D.C., and your respective states, I'm praying for you. I'm also deeply grateful for your creativity and collaborative spirits in sharing ideas, offering one another assistance, and overcoming difficulties. The saints of the Baltimore-Washington Conference always rise to the challenge. We're not living in fear by respecting these requests. We're actually caring for one another and our communities by keeping one another safe. As we lament our physical absence, may we use that yearning to draw closer to God. We can turn this unfortunate and painful time of social distancing into our Lenten lament and prayer. In that way, even this valley of the shadow of absence can deepen our discipleship and strengthen our resolve. I pray for those providing essential services to our most vulnerable populations. I know you're going to great lengths to meet their needs while also practicing safe hygienic methods. May God's grace surround you and anoint you against any harm. I'm praying especially for those in quarantine, those yet trying to return to the United States, and those on the front lines working to bring an end to this pandemic. God is with us. God is great and greatly to be praised. Wait for the Lord. Be strong. Take heart. Wait for the Lord. Blessings and peace from our bishop. I am thankful for her leadership of our conference and glad to share her letter with you. One of my colleagues in another conference writes, I've not lived through a pandemic, so this is all new to me. That said, I have participated in disaster response with tabletop exercises based on pandemics. Following guidance for social distancing actually works and has proven helpful in reducing and slowing down the rate of transmission, which in turn allows our medical system to keep up with the number of patients at any given moment. There have been various reports out about how folks are dealing with this pandemic and restrictions on gatherings, etc. There's a video of a quarantined violinist in southern Italy playing a concert for his neighbors from his balcony. There is no end to how we can be creative with this. Now, I am unsure of what all this is about, but I've found an article that says that getting out and gardening can actually be helpful to the immune system. So that's an interesting thought, and it's a good way to be in communion, in conversation with God and with our world, and a time to de-stress. So it would be worth exploring this article. It's from mnn.com, and the title is Tune Up Your Immune System in the Garden. Interesting one to explore. I'm going to share it to my page on Facebook, and that way you'll be able to find the link there if you'd like it. A great graphic I just found quoting Psalm 59:16. You are my fortress, my place of protection in time of trouble. And it shows a large fortification. Looks like it's out in the middle of the desert. Very interesting. St. Barnabas Episcopal Church posted that one this morning. Good reminder always from Micah 6. This is what God asks of you, only this: to act justly, to love tenderly, and to walk humbly with your God. Not sure which translation that is, but I really like it. This is what God asks of you, only this: to act justly, to love tenderly, and to walk humbly with your God. In our prayers, we should remember these measures that are being taken for the good of the community at large, the common good. They're difficult measures, and there are some people whose income and some people whose expenses are going to be very adversely affected by it. I think of the kids that are going to be out of school, and if they were dependent on school lunch programs, then how are they going to be getting their lunches? Not only that, their parents were counting on them being in school, so now they're either going to have to telework or they're going to have to arrange for childcare. Is that even going to be possible? So income may be adversely affected, as well as the additional expenses. This is difficult, very difficult. So if you know of someone in need and can help, it ties in with that quote from Micah that I shared a bit ago. Love tenderly. Act with justice. Walking humbly with God. One of the things our churches rely on is being able to connect with each other on Sunday. That's one of the things they treasure about church. And so I thought that this might be one way which we might do that, at least in a limited way. One of the people that I love to follow on Facebook is a retired bishop from the Episcopal Church. He's a Native American elder as well. His name's Steven Charleston. And here's what he's written today. The hard part is not knowing. Did I catch the virus when I touched the grocery store cart? Is it already in my neighborhood? Will my loved ones be safe? So many questions I cannot answer. so many answers I must wait to discover. In this kind of uncertainty, it's easy to become afraid. That's why it helps to make a list of what I do know. I know that there is a loving Spirit watching over me. I know that my prayers are being heard. I know my family is under the care of a power greater than mine. I know that this too shall pass. I know if I do my part, it will help many others. I know that whatever happens, my love for you will never waver. Great thoughts from Steven Charleston today. Some people are responding to these ways of dealing with the coronavirus pandemic, responding to them as if somehow they were being personally attacked. Their rights were being deprived of them. The point is not to deprive anyone of their liberty. The point is not to deprive anyone of their enjoyment of life. The point is that we live in community, and we are responsible to and for one another. In our prayers, we often talk about the common good and how our elected leaders are responsible for the common good of everyone. And as good citizens, so are we all. If you look up the phrase, flatten the curve, you will find a lot of good information about why this social distancing and self-quarantining, why these measures are so important. We don't need to be selfish. As Christians, we're called to live above that, to live a new way, the kingdom way. Or some people not like to say these days, the kingdom way. With God, our Creator, we're all children of the one God, and we're responsible for one another as our family members. The bishop of my home conference is offering this helpful pointer. As we're in a time of social distancing and self-isolation, she says, today, take time to call, not text, call 3 friends or family members. Check in, catch up, tell them you love them. If you know someone who lives in the neighborhood near you that might need some extra support and attention, that would be a good idea as well. And this time, the time of anxiety, there's a verse in 1 Peter that says, cast all your anxiety on Him, God, because God cares for you. It's in 1 Peter chapter 5. And Lamott says we have to do what's in front of us and keep on doing it. Every time we choose the good action or response, the decent, the valuable, it builds incrementally to renewal, resurrection, the place of newness, freedom, and justice. She too is talking about the kingdom of God. She's talking about the common good. Pandemic. What if you thought of it as the Jews consider the Sabbath, the most sacred of time? Cease from travel. Cease from buying and selling. Give up, just for now, on trying to make the world different than it is. Sing, pray, touch only those to whom you commit your life. Center down. And when your body has become still, reach out with your heart. Know that we are connected in ways that are terrifying and beautiful. You could hardly deny it now. Know that our lives are in one another's hands. Surely that has become clear. Do not reach out your hands. Reach out your heart. Reach out your words. Reach out all the tendrils of compassion that move invisibly where we cannot touch. Promise this world your love, for better or for worse, in sickness and in health, so long as we all shall live. By Lynn, Unger. And that, I guess, is a good piece with which to close. I'll check and see if anyone has come in, but it looks like not. So I'm going to call it a morning and wish you all a good day.